Operations at the very end down there is our CFO for management and the offices of the secretary. That's what we call financial operations. They actually do the CFO work. They're my CFO. That's a fun one to try to think about, huh? Okay. Yep.
That's it?
Yes. Any other questions? I'm sure Beryl will leave enough time at the end for more questions if you think of any. It was a pleasure talking with you all. I'm going to let Beryl walk you quickly through a couple of the details on the human capital strategy and where we are in implementing it.
Great.
Thanks, Beryl.
Can you guys hear me okay, or should I turn the mic on? Good. Can you hear me? I'm good? Good? In back there? Okay, great, then I won't. Human capital strategy, we mentioned it a couple times. We're still working, we piloted the 1.0 version in 2017 and 2018, so we're in our second year and we've really gotten traction. We've done some continuous improvement and some lessons learned from it, and so we're really starting to robust up all of the programs I'm about to talk to you about. And so, as in my opening I said there's probably something in this for you, so pay attention. The human capital strategy was put together by your senior leadership, literally your CFO, spent many hours in rooms discussing and arguing over what this should look like, what our priorities should be. And we boiled it down that there's certain areas that we have to address, and that is recruiting, retaining, developing, and recognizing our employees. So we built 6 key goals around those particular parameters. And we were supporting that goal 1 of the strategic plan, which is putting our people came first, putting our people first. Those 6 goals focus on growing leaders, and you'll see that we've got 4 new programs that address that. Developing superior analytical and decision support capabilities. You saw the phrase decision support in in what Stacy presented in terms of our 4 major goals in the strategic plan. Building technology innovators. Great question about modern systems. If you haven't figured this out yet, if somebody hasn't shared their aha moment with you, financial management is becoming more and more integrated with information technology. So to be successful in your career, we're going to have to get better at our knowledge and our usage of information technologies, which is why there's a major focus in the department on financial systems modernization that Stacy alluded to. So we are building that into we're trying to take that into account in terms of building that into our people. Creating DHS enterprise awareness. Have you ever heard that before today? That's why you're here. This is an enterprise awareness activity right now. Recognizing excellence. Since you're new here, you might not have had a chance to see it, but we have an annual awards ceremony, which is very nice, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. And create awareness for the human capital strategy programs and the progress we're making. We want you to know about the human capital strategy, which is why I'm up here today. And we want you to know that we are serious about it, so we have performance measures that we track against and we advertise. We just released our first accomplishment report, and I'm pleased as punch to say that we hit almost all of our performance measures. So let me talk a little bit about there's 15 specific initiatives within the human capital strategy. It starts off with, that Stacy mentioned, it hits every level of your development from the GS5 to the GS15. So we started with building the financial professionals program. This is a program that is dedicated to 2 years of details. So you go on 4 details for 6 months at a time for 2 years in different areas of financial management. In other words, to create a very well-rounded financial manager. And then with that kind of expertise, you would be placed eventually back in your home office at a component where you would ideally be a much more knowledgeable and productive member of the team. It would also include a component detail, or if you're at a headquarters, or a headquarters detail if you're at a component. Then we have 3 leadership programs that all have sort of 5 common elements, but we have it at the 11-12 level, the 13-14 level, and the 15 level, which we call the Executive Leadership Program. These programs all have, as a core part of it, there is an external leadership program that you're enrolled in for 9 months to a year. So for instance, in the 11, 12, and 13, 14 program, we would have you enrolled in the Graduate School USA, which is right across the street from here, for 9 or 12 months, depending on the level you're at, which is a very rigorous program that has you integrated with other federal employees, doing big projects, and working on actually solving real problems in the federal bureaucracy. At the 15 level, we support you going to the Brookings Institution for a year for some very high-level, amazing development and training. Every component is allotted seats to these programs. So you have access to these seats. They're already paid for. So as we have grown these programs, there are more and more seats available. And just to let you know where we're at so far, in the first 2 years, we've had 2 cohorts in the FPP program. We had 9 participants so far out of 4 components. In the 11-12 program, we have had 15 participants from 7 components. And in FY19, which we are in, we're going to have 15 components. In the 13-14 program, we've already had 13 participants, and we're going to 20 this year. And in the executive leadership program, we've already had 12 participants, and we're going to 10. So keep an eye out for these announcements. We push them to your senior leadership. Your senior leadership theoretically are pushing them down to you. And so take advantage of this. They're competitive, but what a great opportunity. I can tell you we're getting nothing but really great feedback. And again, this is to our benefit because we want to develop you as the future leaders of DHS. We realized at the senior leadership level that we needed homegrown talent. We need people who understand the enterprise and came up through our organizations to be better leaders for our organization. And that was the thought process behind it. And of course, for enterprise awareness, well, you're here, and we hope you like this, and we hope you find this useful for your growth. Some of the other initiatives, maybe you noticed that there's a new employee guide that we built here at headquarters that we sent to all the components. And hopefully, if you don't have an employee guide at your component, that your component is going to take advantage of this. This is a new initiative, so they're almost, you may not have seen that yet. We focus our training in the headquarters centralized training program. Stacy alluded to this. We have 64 classes a year that cover many of them on decision support in technical areas. And so we have criteria that we're going to target our training to that, as well as leadership. So we now, if you aren't familiar with the centralized training program, you should be. There's courses available to every component that are already covered. The cost is already covered, so you just have to get to your training coordinator and find out about this if you haven't. It's a great opportunity. We've been doing this for years. It's very successful. Our colleague back here mentioned the detail program. There's a website on Stacy's CFO website. If you go to that and you go to Workforce Development sub-tab, or on the side you'll see a WD. If you go there, on the WDD website, there's a detail hub. There's about 39 details posted there. I don't know if you had a chance to see that particular opportunity, but we have several opportunities posted there. And if you're interested in another detail, you can talk to us and we will help you find one. I mentioned the annual awards program every year. Nominations are currently being taken. As part of that program, we did a video to encourage people to do more nominations and better quality nominations to reward some of the amazing work that we do in our community. We actually have a video on YouTube on how to write up that nomination. So if you're part of a team that is doing some amazing stuff, mention that, hey, we should put in a nomination for this team. Or if you know an individual that's worthy of it. And a quick plug on our career path guides. What's a career path guide? This is a guidance document that was developed by your peers. We took people from all the components and all the different mission critical occupation, budget analyst, accountant, internal controls person, and we said, what do you need to develop yourself at each level of your career, from a GS7 to a GS15? What kind of activities do you need? What kind of training do you need? If you've always wondered what your career arc will look like, It's already been determined, it's already been written for you. So if you go to the WDD website off of Stacy's homepage, we have career path guides for 5 mission critical occupations. It's a great way to see what your career should look like over the next 20 years. We've done some CFO-wide hiring fairs. We've heard from your CFOs that that they need help in terms of recruiting talent. So that's part of the recruit part of this human capital strategy. And we've actually we've just cracked the nut and started finding a way to use social media to advertise some of our recruitment. So that's another aspect of that. Took us a while to get there, but we're just starting to figure out how to do that. And then again, we're talking about our human capital strategy and the progress that we made. And I think I just wanted to again show you how to get to Stacy's page and then the workforce development page after that. You go to, there's a new configuration on DHS Connect if you didn't notice that before. So you go to components. We used to be the first one, but now we're not anymore. You have to come down here to the management directorate and go on over to the chief financial officer. And that's how you get to the page. So that's how you find our stuff. We have a very robust webpage on DHS Connect, and it talks about all these programs that I just discussed here, the leadership programs, FPP, our training, centralized training program, all that is everything's available, a lot of FAQs. And with that, this is just to say you can see all these plans that have been discussed here today on Stacy's homepage. And that's how you get to them. And you can see that. And with that, any quick questions? I think my time is up. But yes, sir.
The GS 11 through 15 leadership program you mentioned, are those targeted specifically at CFO financial sort of training, or is it DHS-wide training?
It's only available to the CFO community, but the training is on leadership, not on finance.
Gotcha.
So it's useful in any field, but it is only available to our community because we're the ones funding it. Any other? Yes, ma'am. Say what? So what payments? Student loan payments. No, I'm afraid there's not anything available for student loan payments at this time. Anything else? Okay, you guys, thank you so much for the question. Oh, yes, sir, one last one.
Oh, I want to commend you. I mean, everything that you're doing is great, all the opportunities that you provide. I know that in your position, you're probably limited on the things that you can do. Like, for example, one of the challenges that you say that's on the strategy is addressing a mobile workforce. It says there is some resistance within the CFO community to embrace a mobile work environment. And the solutions that was provided in here, or the things that we're going to do, was offer training, best practices for mobile, but it really doesn't address people or supervisor or maybe even employees that have that really just don't want to do it, or let's say a supervisor that just don't really want to offer it. They'll, I have to offer it, I'll do it only once. Is there really a way that you can really address people who have a negative view of like telework and really offering it to their employees?
It's funny you picked that one out. I think we ran into resistance at trying to make that a enterprise-wide initiative because there is so much local policy differences and the types of work that people do in all these different offices that it was impossible to make a standard across the enterprise. So there was a difference on that one.
So all we can do is provide the tools for people to be able to effectively do it. But Beryl, you said it right. Every different functional areas in the CFO have different customer service requirements, and it really is dependent on the work that you do and the presence that you need to be able to accomplish it as effectively as possible. We did a look internally in the CFO's office because we have some minimum telework standards just to have a baseline for everybody to be able to telework. And situational telework is always encouraged. But really, when you look at the studies of when telework becomes a very effective and is most effective is when people are just in the transaction processing business. When they have a certain number of certain things to do every single day for transaction processing. It becomes a little bit more, and it's all mission driven, harder to do when your job is about interacting, acting as a team, talking with your colleagues, working across your lines of business, serving your customer base, reaching out to different pieces of the organization. Not saying that it can't be done, but there are mission-driven requirements that actually people need to be there. And especially when you're at a staff level support function and you have leadership that is highly demanding for deliverables that you have to produce, it's hard to do in any situation. But, so it's all, we say it's not about the it's about the work. So you have to, but it also is about the culture. So to help that culture, we can make good tools available to people, and we can talk about it with our supervisors and really, I mean, the only thing you can do is have an open and honest conversation for what the expectations are with your supervisor. Yes, sir?
Ma'am, would you say, from my perspective, one of the biggest challenges we have in this organization is the technology side of it, whether it be for telework or your modern financial systems. You know, Moore's Law does not work on the same schedule as federal acquisitions and cyber requirements. You know, technology is, doubling every 18 months, and we are still operating on systems that were, state of the art 5-10 years ago. Is that one of the bigger challenges for this, across the enterprise, common financial system thing, and dollars for it? This stuff doesn't come cheap, and we have a lot of competing interests for our baseline budget that really didn't move up much in the last year.
Yes. I think, thank you for that question about how do we have technology keep up with the bureaucracy that we live in, because our implementation of technology doesn't go nearly as fast as the actual technology modernization does in, say, the private sector. And what I would say is you're right. I mean, that's part of resourcing, being able to find resources to do it. We are not a for-profit business. We don't reinvest in ourselves. We are for tax, but it's, we do the best that we can, but I think we can always do better at pushing the envelope to get things up better, faster, and cheaper. And I'll tell you what, that our CIO, and you'll hear from him later, is really working on doing that. But part of it is getting that baseline infrastructure in place to be able to work off that, because we are living with a lot of things that were in the, 10 years ago, we decided to do it a certain way, and we never kept up with the pace. But we're working on fixing that.
And one of the challenges we have, particularly in our component, Coast Guard, is we not only have the government firewalls and security settings, we also have the .mil domain and DoD requirements set upon us, which, it's, I don't want to say it's necessarily a limitation, but it's a limitation.
It is. Security, by its nature, is always, makes things harder to do. Absolutely, and that's the business that we work in. All right, so we have the next panel ready. I think they're congregating in the back. Thank you very much for your questions. Thank you very, very much for your engagement, and enjoy the rest of your day.